We're here in Chicago at Axpona 2024. It's going to be a great show. Check out our coverage.
And please check out our Facebook page, the fastest growing audiophile Facebook page, over 12,000 members in 3 months, The Listening Chair with Howard Neller Group.
I'm Howard Neller.
I'm Kemper Holt.
And welcome to The Listening Chair. Mike, well, thanks again for having us. We'd love to hear a little bit about the speaker. And also, I think there's an interesting story you have about how you got started and your design theories.
Thank you very much. Yes, the Aphrodite is the culmination of a mission that Alta has had from the very beginning, which started with a friendly challenge from a friend who was a reviewer at the time, and that was simply that he wanted me to design a new speaker. And I looked at him and said, "You have no idea what you're asking." So we agreed after a while that he would actually help me by being a part of it with a few friends, about a dozen people, whose profession it was to know what live music sounded like. Because the challenge I took was not to design a new speaker, but to design a speaker that could come much closer to the sound of live music itself. Well, that group of people, which included a conductor of a Philharmonic Orchestra, included a Grammy Award-winning recording engineer, and several people from high-end audio. They were tasked with hearing live music, unamplified, completely natural instruments, and telling me what those differences were. And that's how Alta began. And the things that we found out are encompassed in all of our speakers, but at the ultimate level in the Aphrodite.
What is in the Aphrodite that really indicates your design viewpoint?
Well, number one, of course, is XTL bass, which the subwoofer section is. XTL bass is actually a hybrid of tune port and transmission line, taking the best out of each of them and taking away all the things that all the negatives that each of them had. So unlike classic transmission lines, there's no padding in it. Classic transmission line is heavily damped. Unlike a tuned port, the woofer does not decouple below resonance in the system. It continues to be coupled to the point that we will be playing deep, powerful bass. And you know how normally you see these advertisements on TV where they show a subwoofer moving like that, like crazy? That's actually wasting energy in motion. What we want is the energy that goes to the subwoofer to be transmitted as sound. You'll be listening to really deep, powerful bass, and those will be hardly moving at all. An XTL bass, recently patented by the US Patent Office, creates a bass quality and power that is far beyond anything you would experience from any other type. This, without any distortion, can move the floor, rattle the walls if it's asked to do so, and melds beautifully into the mid-range because it's that fast, tight, and controlled.
What size room do you typically put these in?
Well, this is about the minimum size room they could fit in.
Which is about how large?
About 16 by 20, I think, would be the minimum size room for them, with at least 9-foot ceilings, all right? Because they are very powerful. They go well below 20 cycles, and we've been playing 16 Hz notes in this room as we were demonstrating, and you could feel the floor move.
But are there any other major design preferences that you have that you've incorporated into the speaker?
Number one, loss-free design, and that is the design of the speaker is such that it will not absorb sound, it simply tunes to it. And all the resonances are controlled to augment the sound of the speaker so that it is smooth, open, and dynamic.
Personally, for you, what type of music do you like to listen to?
I love so many different forms of music. My favorite symphony is Pictures at an Exhibition. My favorite folk artist is Joni Mitchell. My favorite guitarist is Santana. And it goes on because I love music. I will tell you, the mission statement began because I realized something. I'm not a performing artist. I have a friend, Napua Devoy, who learned how to play piano by simply sitting at the piano till she could play, and is one of the best jazz pianists you ever saw. And I looked at her and I said, Napua, you were pre-wired. I couldn't do that if I sat there till I died. But something I found I could do was reproduce that sound to a higher level so that people could enjoy Napua even if she wasn't there.
What are the cabinets made of?
They're made out of a material we call damp hard, which is multi-layered, has high density material, medium density material, and in between trapped with acrylic damping material. And it's 1.5 inches thick and hard and non-resonant at the same time.
Okay. And just can you tell us what you're using in your system here today?
Sure. These are the Infigo electronics. And we have decided that we're going to do shows together as often as possible.
Okay.
Because the mission statement of the electronics was very similar to the mission statement of Alta. Simply to reproduce sound as naturally as possible. And when these two are coupled, well, they do the one thing you want out of a system. They disappear. As an analog source, we have a VPI turntable. It's the Avenger Direct.
And then what are we using for a digital source?
Well, first of all, we're using the Method 7 analog preamplifier.
Okay.
And the Method 4 is your digital to analog converter.
And what about the amplifiers?
The amplifiers are the newest level of the Infigo Method 3. And I have to tell you, these are gorgeous amplifiers. I love looking down at them and seeing the electronics through the plexiglass tops that they come with. But one thing now evades the eye that I loved in the earlier ones, but for a good reason. You see, they have these incredibly large coils for the power supply. It used to be a single coil. It is now a double coil. And these are a true Class A at 200 watts into 8 ohms, and that makes them almost exactly 400 watts into the 4 ohms for these speakers. Now, the speakers will handle 1,000, but believe me, you don't need it, you won't want it, you'll be blown out of the room cleanly.
Okay. And would you say that Alta has a house sound for their speakers, or is it just that you try to get to as close to the live
Our
sound
house
as
sound
possible?
is live.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I guess every manufacturer thinks
No,
that.
I mean that because we took it as a challenge from professionals.
Okay.
This is not my point of view of what live sounds like. This was a whole group of people who have to know what instruments sound like to the point that they told me that they could tell, listening to my speakers, whether it was a Cornelius or Stradivarius. Things like that become clear. On these speakers, we've reached a level of detail and clarity that frankly blew me away, where I started to hear through them things you don't normally hear in recordings. Such as, for example, on one recording where there is little resonators on the cymbals and you can hear them being activated by the guitarist playing his guitar.
If you can play some music for us, we'd really appreciate that. And I'm sure, since we're just starting the show, or at the beginning of the show, I'm sure you're going to have a very well-attended room. And we really appreciate you having us.
Thank you very much, and I really appreciate having you here.